So, guys, before we start with the session, just a question to most of you that you can answer this in your chat box. The question is, what is that one word that you heard the most apart from your name since your childhood? That word apart from your name since your childhood when you were 6 months old till date. Please be active. Hi, Byron. Money. Okay, that's a good one. Anybody else? All right. So the answer is very simple. The answer is no. Right from my childhood, I've been receptive after my name. No, don't do this, don't do that, don't buy this, don't go there, don't talk to this guy. So, no. So, as humans, subconsciously, we are wired to saying no. This session talks about how do we go and move from saying no to saying yes in the professional front. Good evening. My name is Aniket and I represent upGrad Knowledge Hut. And it is wonderful to have you guys here. So, before I begin, I would like to discuss what upGrad Knowledge Hut is all about. So, upGrad Knowledge Hut is a trusted learning partner with over 5 lakh professionals and over 4,500 enterprise clients across 100 plus countries. We help individuals and organizations build the skills for what's next. So let me draw some light on today's session. It is called the Growth with ITIL version 5. That means from service desk to digital operation leader. Now, if you've been working in IT for a while, you have probably noticed there is a technical skill that helps you get started. But the real career growth happens when you begin understanding how technology enables as a enterprise business. Now, this gap is we are talking about today. Throughout today's session, you will hear us come back on one simple idea, that is how do we fix and close this gap. Now, when I talk about gap, the gap between fixing problems and preventing them. The gap could also be between doing the work and leading the work, or the gap could be between customer experience or technology. But the ultimate gap between your career, which is today, and where you like to be in next 6 months. So leading today session is Pearl Quan. Please, I would request you guys to give her a round of applause on the chat box and we welcome her. So to talk about Pearl, Pearl is an ITIL master, the highest designation within the ITL framework. With over 20 years of experience helping organizations build better service management practices and helping professionals grow their career. So please feel free to leave your questions in the chat throughout the session and we'll answer as many as we can during our Q&A sessions. With that, I will hand over to Pearl. Pearl, over to you.
All right. Thank you, Aniket, for that warm welcome. Good morning, everyone, afternoon or evening. I am going to be here to talk about more about that closing that gap that we have through the different what was mentioned earlier. And so one of the first things I'll just dive right in is just the gap we have between maybe what we see and what keeps things actually running out there. Because every organization is powered by technology. I don't know where you guys work, but there's technology behind it, right? Even if it isn't what you sell. And so what do we see and what really keeps things running. And so one of the things that is happening right now around the world is the FIFA World Cup. We are in the semifinals, France versus Spain, England versus Argentina. Maybe you're a fan. And what you're seeing a lot is the matches that happened, the goals, the celebrations. Um, it is a World Cup tournament, right? There are massive stadiums, national pride, opening ceremonies. They're high stake games. People want to win. You get star players like Lionel Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, and even the rising stars. Like, who is that next star that's going to draw that worldwide attention? You have broadcast coverage out there, the high definition visuals that you see, the commentary, the replays, the immersive storytelling, and there's the fan culture, the chants, the celebrations, people wanting to celebrate their nationality, their colors. It is a global unity. In fact, I'm from the Toronto area. I'm a Canadian. So, Toronto, province of Ontario in Canada. And six of the games were held here in Toronto. And to see and hear, it was interesting how it's such a culture that's what I saw. People marching to the stands, you know, in a parade, like crowding the streets. And people, the poor people who lived in those areas as they walked in, was loud. And I can only imagine some of the afternoon games, people who were actually working and they're hearing these chants and as people come in. But what we don't see is what's happening behind the scenes, right? There is advanced technology that is used to operate worldwide events. And I'm not just talking about FIFA, but any events. I mean, there are some of the things that you may not think about, the ticketing systems that have to happen, digital accreditations, broadcasting, managing the volunteers that may come out, security, getting fan support, real time communications. I mean, if I think about the stadium itself, we have smart stadiums, there's lighting, there's pitch cooling systems. You have to manage the crowd that comes through. Broadcast enhancements, the cameras that they use, immersive audio and security systems. I mean, as much as we hope that everyone coming in is to watch, the games, sometimes, we need to understand it, is there facial recognitions that you want, even bringing out some of the crowds. I know some of the games were held in LA, so some of the stars were out, right? Crowd monitoring, making sure there's no funny things happening. And uh, if there's an emergency that happens, right? They have to have that. And even on the pitch, the field, there's video assistance referees, helping. How do we make those accurate decisions on the goals, the penalties, the cards they do, the red, the yellow cards? Um, there's cameras, there's technology behind them, right? And it is used in all sports. You have goal line technology, the instant replays, is the accuracy. And I know some of you may argue maybe some of it is, I don't know, was that right or wrong? But, as we continue, and of course, the fan experience, right? Um, your mobile ticketing. I mean, nowadays it's not paper. Usually it's, on your phone. It's uh, trackable. It's maybe integrated to the stadium access that you have. And, every one of those services must work perfectly together. And so what really keeps things running is not just about this good technology that you see there. It's moving from more a service management approach into digital product and service management approach, using organizational capabilities like hardware, software, your people, your workflows that you have to enable that value for customers in the form of these digital products and services. And a framework like ITIL can help us move into this more digital product and service management approach. It is one of the global best practices framework for that management adopted across industries to help us improve outcomes, reliability, value creation. It's helping us hopefully deliver those consistent experience. Watching when you watch the games, all you want is to see the games and not have interruptions and hopefully the red cards that you could see, oh, that was proven that yes, they did that. Um, and this is when people depend on this. A lot of people do. We want to help close that gap that we have. And the bigger the organization, the smaller the room there is for failure. So there is another type of gap that we may have, and some of you may already be experiencing this, that you're constant in this reactive mode, right? It's crisis driven, that you're always firefighting, very short term. You're waiting for potential problems. Well, I don't know if you're waiting for that. But we want to move into more proactive um, philosophy out there. I don't know if philosophy is the right word, but you want to be able to plan ahead, be prepared, making sure your long-term goals are met and really preventing issues. And, part of ITIL's philosophy is to hopefully move more from reactive to helping you be more proactive, right? You, I mean, even if I took ITIL out of this, it's having more a set of making sure we are reducing incidents, improving stability, enhancing that user experience, uh, focusing on hopefully creating a long-term value compared to just always firefighting. And so why this is important? Well, if we go back and think about FIFA, and I'm just going to bring out ticketing systems. Can you imagine if you were attending games and you had bought your ticket, okay, everything was good. You go to the stadium and, oh, this is not a valid ticket, or, oh no, that's the wrong stadium you're at. And can you imagine the frustration, your anger, because you probably didn't, spend, it wasn't cheap to purchase those tickets, right? You want to have it to be secure, trackable, integrated with that stadium access. You want service stability, fewer disruptions out there, um, smoother operations. And, one of the things that sometimes we forget is it is more cost effective to prevent them than when it's in operations. Once it's in operations, it is very expensive to fix. I always talk about the fact that the design, if you are the design and testing, if that's done before in operations, then it's much more effective there. Well-designed services fail less. And so part of ITIL, one of the frameworks, we speak about value streams. And these streams are steps that we take to create and deliver those products and services based on whatever scenario, like those ticketing systems. Like, what is it that we do to ensure that the purchase is done right, that when they are there, that is checked. So what does that flow of work look like? And integrating practices like problem management. Maybe are there root causes that we can see before something actually occurs? If we had to make changes, right? Making sure they are safe and predictable, always improving, evaluating the processes, services. Like it just doesn't stop. Continual improvement is one of those things that I think it should be a lifestyle, a way of thinking, a culture. And so if that's something you can take away from this webinar is, part of closing that gap is let's think about what can we always do better? Because if we can do better, it will hopefully help us. And so building resilience into the systems from the start. And, there are reactive practices that we need to have. Of course, there's incident management. If something happens, yes, we need to restore um, the service desk as a practice, communicating with the users what's going on. These are essential, but they really shouldn't dominate what we do. And so we know that fixing is unavoidable, but there should be that feedback to hopefully prevent it in the future, right? That continual improvement. Think about, if we think about just what you may experience, maybe you're getting frequent server crashes. Okay, not great, but if you are, and if what if the servers it has an application that's critical to your organization? Yeah, you know how to react to it. You can restart it, you open an incident, maybe apply a patch. But how long, right? That gap. Analyze it, you want to be proactive. Analyze the logs, identify memory leaks. That maybe monitoring so that it doesn't occur. And that's a very small portion. Even if we think bigger picture here, um, flying, airlines. I had a friend who recently her son went to Japan. He's 16 years old. And just, I can only imagine we were talking about her check-in, right? It went smoothly, but what if something happened? You know, she's already anxious. Her 16-year-old son is going across the world by himself to meet with a family out there. But, ensuring that we don't get incidences that occur, that hopefully there's no delays in the check-in when we that the if we have that, I think part of it too is losing confidence from just, oh, here's something else, and it's just ensuring that can we have prevented that, right? What happened along the way, those value streams? What do we do? And how can we ensure that we prevent that? And so that, everyone, when we look at everything, everyone does have a different perspective on that situation. So it's the shift from maybe fixing to understanding the whole situation and where we can improve and prevent. And that is something I think as, going from that service desk analyst type role, yes, we know how to fix, but we want to increase that. So kind of close this gap, right? How do we move forward on that? And, ITIL does bring those perspectives together, closing that reactive versus proactive organization. And so as your career grows, you don't want to, you want to become less about just fixing individual incidents or issues and preventing. And so let's talk about this gap of actually doing the work and leading the work, which is kind of the title of this. How do you go from that service desk role to a digital operation manager, right? Because doing is what service desk role tends to be, hands-on, completing those tasks directly, accuracy, speed. There is day-to-day things that happen, ensuring deliverable, using more technical and functional expertise to produce those results. Whereas leading it, that's moving to that other spectrum, the digital operational leader, where we're defining goals, priorities, the path forward, guiding, coaching people to succeed, having a more strategic oversight, uh, seeing the bigger picture, removing barriers and ensuring alignment. What does that progression look like? So don't take this as this is how you go through things, right? Some of you may recognize some of the roles in your organization. Maybe you see that progression because everybody's path is going to be different. But I think when you look at this, you want to think about you're moving from a more reactive to being proactive as you go up to managing your services, your digital and product services, and being more of a strategic digital leadership. Growing from fixing to preventing to designing. And so, some of you may have this role of a service desk analyst. And I'm sure you guys, even if you're not in this role, and you may have done it before, I've done it, troubleshooting, communications, ticket triage, right? And you're hopefully developing empathy, learning about the fundamentals, right? I know a lot of people think this is as a stepping stone, and I know this makes it look like a stepping stone, but this is for another discussion. But I think there can be a way to grow yourself in this. But we want to move to more that digital operation leader, where your next step may be to handling more complex issues, deeper troubleshooting, smaller projects. So because you start to understand, you're starting to be more specific to that. And maybe, these may be together where you're more, not less reactive to more operational stability, looking for those root causes, preventing things from uh, uh, actually occurring. Um, and it may be that first step to really thinking about when you're kind of here, that operational sense. And you may have a chance to have a change coordinator, change manager role. And this, I think, is where that step from being solving that technical to, hey, you're influencing what's being planned, doing risk assessments, coordinating the release, and really starting to understand how some things are going to affect other things in the organization. It's not just about this one incident that occurred. When you had made the change, maybe it affected other things, and that may help you understand that more and maybe leading you more to starting to measure your performance, being a service level analyst, defining those key performance indicators, thinking like a service owner, right? What are you promising to your consumers, and what can you and what they expect to that? And that this understanding that having those bases could lead to having that service delivery manager, managing your service performance, your vendor relationships, governance, uh, and this is kind of switching, uh, in my mind, you're going more from that doing the work to leading it, right? Getting more leadership and maybe more into the IT service management, multiple teams, operational domains, aligning the technology. And, this digital operations leader, because nowadays the world is changing under us. And A- AI, I mean, we're going to talk a bit about that, but AI is um, something that you are going to be faced with. We are in this world. You may be leading those digital transformations, managing that hybrid cloud AI operations, driving automation. And as you look at this, you may be thinking, it's not about being technical, it's a mindset, right? It's from doing it, how do I fix this? How do I prevent it? Like as I move forward, how do I measure and improve it? And how do I transform that? It's what separates from just being operational to a true digital operations leader. And so owning operational strategy, governance, uh, experience, the ITIL framework can help you modernize into this thinking of digital operational leaders from value, outcomes, and experience. And it's not just about uptime. When I talk to people, yeah, we want 99% availability. Well, how many, if we're talking, how many passengers were actually checked in? What was your project completion time? Like, we need to think bigger than that. And it's, as you see this moves um, uh, beyond your current role. It gives professionals the language to have those conversations, closing the gap from doing the work to leading the work. And so as your career further improves, it's less about knowing only your job, but understanding how every team really fits together, right? I mean, I think sometimes we think in this silo, right? We need to the bigger picture. So let's talk about technology, the gap of technology and customer experience. And I think this is something that we don't, it's something that we see more and more of because using digital products to support our digital services, there's the experience that the customer experiences, right? You know, uh, it's, the digital product and service management, as I talked about earlier, should be invisible. I mean, when you uh, go to uh, like a digital service like online tutoring, there are products used like ebooks, downloading your course material. But if it all works, great. Think about that check-in I said. So it was interesting. My friend, I had we we were discussing because I met her when her son was flying back too, and we were talking about her check-in was okay. Her experience was good. If she did have issues because she couldn't uh, the luggage going through. If you've been at airports nowadays, a lot of them, at least in the Toronto area, and I know across Canada, there's this uh, um, like a scanner, right? Because as we get into the AI things that, automate it, right? But it was also the experience of tracking the flight as it comes in. It was actually quite frustrating because of, the websites and how it was presented to us. But I will say there are examples that maybe you all can see. Like these are organizations that you may actually uh, use or do, like Netflix, right? Uh, when you go watch the movie, all you want is the movie to be there. There's no buffering. It streams great, right? Because when it buffers, everyone notices. When it streams perfectly, you watch the movie from start to finish, no one notices. And that's the goal, right? That's why great digital product and service management is invisible. Like we don't measure just uptime, it should be the experience, right? It should be the excellence behind it, preventing disruptions, before it's felt. We earlier talked about preventing versus uh, reactive, right? We we hopefully have run through our test that okay, this is what should happen. The outcome is this. So, like Amazon, the delivery speed, the ease of checkout. I mean, when I go purchase stuff on Amazon, yeah, I'm not your typical woman that purchases a lot of things, but I have. What I want is here's my choices, checkout, perfect. But we know behind the scenes, there's inventory systems, how we pay. I mean, I don't care about that, right? My experience, how easy was it? If I use Uber, how easy was it for me to get that ride on the app? It's available. I see it coming in. When something happens, this is where my experience goes down. And, I'm going back to one of my first gaps I talked about, tech, the what we see versus what really is happening keeps things running. I mean, think about it. There's GPS, APIs, real-time data. That's all kind of happening in different technologies. Online banking, same thing. And as modern IT teams, we're responsible for both the systems and experiences. And so the reality is customers don't measure systems, they measure experiences. And so we want to close that gap, that understanding. Our technology is the foundation. It is there. And we need to manage that. But we also have to understand the experience is the outcome. And there is a gap with that comes with the service maturity. I mean, you could deliver that app to your consumers, but what's the experience that they experience? Are they using it? And ITIL version 5 does recognize that reality. It shifts from just being processed to that value co-creation. I talked about the app until you could feel that that's a value, but until somebody actually does something with it. Uh, if you're a bank, you're making a deposit, transferring funds, that's where it's co-created. And it's, this idea of service management and in this digital product and service world that we have is not about fixing the problems, but designing experience. And it should be invisible. Right? It's through those experience metrics that we have overall. So another gap, I think this is my last gap. But what is between today's skills and tomorrow's industry? All right. Um, I think one of the, that technical skills are evolving fast. And I said earlier, the world is changing under us as we go. Technology, I'm always floored at how advanced technology gets. But, tomorrow demands something deeper. It's everyone always asks how will AI replace IT jobs? But maybe one of the better questions may be, what skills become more valuable because of AI? Because if we think about what can AI do? Yeah, sure. It can automate repetitive work. It's all about streamlining, standardizing those routine tasks, reducing manual effort. We see it all the time. I walk into my doctor's office and, you know, a lot of times it's an automated check-in because there's standard things that we ask. Sure. It can accelerate analysis, process large data sets faster than human capacity can. Sure. And that can help us in maybe preventing problems, right? To go from that reactive to more proactive. It can help us enhance operational speeds, of course, improving the workflow responsiveness and efficiency that we may have behind it. I mean, absolutely, if we automate it, it can hopefully bring us quicker. But, AI can't do everything. And I think that's maybe um, a it's a misconception that you still have to think about governance, right? There's accountability, oversight, risk judge. I mean, with AI, governance is really different. And there's this really good article that I will just say is for free. So if you want to go and do it, and in fact, if I have time, I will um, actually during some discussions, I can upload the article for you if you want to download it in the chat. That's fine. I'll do that because it is a good article. Uh, Decision making. I mean, can AI replace a human decision? I mean, I know we could probably have a debate on that, but I think it's, can it, what from a human being, the ethical reasoning that we want, how we want to prioritize, because that may be different in different organizations, even if you're the same company, designing value through the strategy, the long-term direction. That's you as an organization. What is that direction? You need that as part of, yeah, you may use AI to help in ensuring that you get some of the benefits here. Experience management. And I think that's one of the things that I think we don't think about. Yeah, okay, AI can help, maybe not have will it replace my job? Well, all those service desk analysts now, there's AI chatbots that can help us. But I'm sure some of you have had the experience with chatbots. I have, I know. It's very frustrating actually sometimes because you're trying to have a specific question that you may have. And if it's not something that had been put in, you're not getting essentially what you want. And inevitably, I'm always going to a human. For me, there are certain things I'm going to say that chatbots, like what's your address? What's the phone number? Sure. And cross-functional leadership, right? That's something that AI can't replace. Uh, you're working with different teams, and it's what teams and what is appropriate. And so becoming in an AI enabled organization, and some of you may be moving towards that, thinking more of that, it's understanding what it can't replace this, but having that skills, right? That understanding. And ITIL version 5 integrates AI into that modern digital product and service management practices. It is AI native, right? It's about, it's still, giving you the guidance around fixing, doing changes, but how is AI supporting that, right? Because inevitably you may be in that transformation that we want to use AI, but what to think about, uh, being more predictive design, uh, maybe understanding how governance and strategy comes into play, closing the gap on skills. That's what we're trying to do from what's needed, what we have today to tomorrow. because the world is different from the 70s and 80s, right? I mean, this wasn't even there, like the internet, the AI, all that. So when we want to grow, we talked about earlier, is not just about learning new tools, AIs, there's tools out there. How do we manage them in an organization that uses them? So, if you're looking that shift from, that service desk analyst to a digital operation leader, the doing the work to leading it, what is those skills? And AI is going to be part of that understanding, which how do you close that gap? How do we close the gap? We talked about what we see, what actually keeps things running, fixing problems versus preventing them is a gap, doing the work, leading the work, the gap between the technology and customer experience. It isn't about memorizing frameworks. The framework there is for our guidance. It's how do we think differently? So that guidance is going to help you. And I'm going to say ITIL isn't the end all be all. Okay. I mean, you may go, oh, but I use this, I use Agile, I use DevOps, and what ITIL help does is actually brings that together, right? Um, and helps you, whether if you're at the service desk, right? Whether if you're leading digital operations, it's understanding the bigger picture because the world has changed under our feet. And what ITIL has done is kept up to date in the shift around digital technology. And so we want what it provides is a best guidance for organizations and individuals wanting to know how to manage this and how to make organizations and individuals thrive in this type of environment. I mean, you might have heard it's a very disruptive environment, right? It keeps changing. So, yes, what does the qualification scheme? I'm not going to go into detail, but if you're interested, how can it help you? I mean, there is the foundations and you need to start there. Because if you don't have that background, just what are the building blocks behind it? What helps us that understanding, the language behind that? If you already have ITIL 4 or ITIL version 3, there is a bridge, it's not listed there. But there is that. It's helping you that key building blocks. Now, product service, these two can help you understand, that what people see and what keeps things running. If you are the digital products that you may have that support the digital services that you deliver, even if it's not digital. I mean, it's we say digital because that's the fourth what's coming, but it is something that is there. The experience one, I think that one's is we talked about technology versus customer experience. I think this one is very interesting. I know I've gone through that, and it's so interesting to just really think about, yeah, we could do it. We can deliver and optimize our strategy, but what is the experience that we're given? Uh, ITIL strategy. So this is it is aimed at uh, the leadership roles. Not to say maybe some of you are going, well, I'm just the poor old change manager out there, but it may be a stepping block that you want to go in and, that doing versus leading, because it does give you that guidance on uh, looking at more of the bigger picture, right? One of the environments or the environments that we look at, some of you may recognize VOCA, the volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous environments. And I will just say, so let me I mean, there's certain designations. Yeah, if you want to be, that strategic leader would map nicely with maybe if you wanted to be operations, digital operation leader. Managing professional, I think I think that one's to me can help bridge a lot. And of course, you need these three. Practice manager. So I do want to come back to we talked about fixing versus preventing problems. And so I think one of the things is this designation, some of you may be looking at this going, well, I actually do some monitoring support and fulfill. And so that is very focused on those environments, right? Talking about the different practices that come to that. All of these do require a transformation module, and that's really, we just talked about our skills today versus tomorrow. That may be something that, how you can transform your career to that. And I'll just say, because you might notice ITIL and AI governance. So that is something that is a separate module, but it is something very important in today's world.
So much, Pearl, for your lovely session. So before we open the floor for the Q&A section, let me ask the audience who are present here uh, a very, very brilliant and important question to ask today is after this session, what is the single biggest mind shift that they need to make in order to move into that kind of a leadership role, right?
Oh my
So,
goodness, that's a great question. Um, you know,
yes, so
I think that,
I want everyone to answer this.
oh, but I'll answer it while you're waiting.
All right, please go ahead.
Um, yeah, to me, I think it's, uh, the framework, I mean, this framework, understanding how to work with other groups in the organization, why metrics may look good on paper, but still produce unhappy customers. And value is actually co-created, right? Between the provider and people relying on them. So I think to me, that's something that is important that you have to, there is a mind shift. It's not just about technical. Sorry, I might have overstepped, but maybe that will give some people some idea.
Right.
Um,
So,
I
guys,
will,
the floor is open for you to ask any questions or doubts that you may have, and Pearl would be happy to take all those questions and answer you. So, the chat section is open for you guys to drop in your questions.
okay. Yes. And I'm going to say the AI governance paper I talked about is in there. If you could search for it, it is free. But I thought, well, you guys are here. Let me. So if you have the chat open, feel free to download it. It's fine. And in the meantime, I know the poll's open, and I'm gonna just go up and see what kind of questions that may have already done uh, do that. Yeah, so somebody was asking about the instructor for a morning class. Yeah, I, I believe there will be scheduled classes that probably in September, October in the morning, and that would be me, like in more of the North American time frame, I'll say, because some of you are from India. You can come too. All right. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Um, thank you. Oh, thank you, Brian. Yeah. I liked how you mentioned that guidance piece and the mind shift. And I think that's something that we don't think about a lot is that ITIL is a guidance. It's not a prescriptive. And I think that's a myth sometimes people have. Oh yeah, if I use ITIL, here's the steps I need. It's not that. And and I will also add, it's not just about ITIL, it's any framework. I mean, if you look at DevOps, it's not about here's the steps. It's what is your thoughts and mindset behind this, right? Um, Clement, I know I'll let somebody answer about the branch. I know that if the class would be offered as a in the North American time frame. Um,
So we, Pearl,
so
we have
what kind of
another
time
question which
frames,
says, yes,
mhm,
I'm sorry.
yeah,
I
are
was reading on
involved
that.
with the certs and designations? So I can say that the foundation that was up there, that is a 3 day course, like 2.5, because I always say take the certification at the end of the day in the afternoon. Um, and it really depends on, I think, depending on your funding and and your timing, right? That would be, but generally these are, if in general, each module is usually 3 days. So that may give you an idea. You could do this all in 2 weeks if you wanted to, but I doubt people have 2 weeks or 3 weeks to do that. Plus, you need funding. Sorry, I know there's cost. But training is online, but I know there is always an opportunity, I believe, if dedicated classes can happen. Um, what duration of ITIL version 5 helped me get to a service delivery role? So in a service delivery role, and I know the screen, sorry, I know they wanted to quickly, oh, that's okay. If you remember the qualifications scheme, I think taking that product, service, and experience and transformation, so 12 days and becoming a managing professional would help in putting you into that service delivery type of a role like that. Understand? And I'm gonna say it doesn't have to be, oh, need to do that to become a service delivery. I think it's just you're working towards that, right? You're understanding the product and how we create and deliver around products, what resources to the outcomes of services, and most importantly, the experience. There's no order in how you take this. The only thing is you need foundations, and that's important. Um, so, and forgive me, I might be pronouncing the name wrong. Uh, Hermanshi, you're a change and release manager, and and I think you want to go into the middle part of it. So if you have ITIL 4 foundations, you can actually go. So I don't know if you have that. If you have, uh, you can, yeah. So if you have ITIL 4 foundations, you can go directly into that, uh, the middle part without taking ITIL foundations. But if you have no foundations, or it's ITIL V3, you do need to take the ITIL bridge course. I would say taking the bridge course, it's something that uh, I think just in general, I think is a good idea, just so it refreshes yourself of what has happened, right? Oh, um, oh, interesting, Felicia. Working in the IT entry. Okay. Before taking, so you're looking at PMP. I will say um, these courses do, uh, and because PMP has PDU credits, and so these apply. I would say for you, uh, and this is my suggestion, everybody's path's different, but starting with the foundations is always good. And then from there, see how you feel, right? As much as I would love everyone to go up to, the practice and managing professional and strategic, like, I think the foundations can give you a lot to be able to interact within your organizations, and hopefully other people in your organizations could also. So I will say the foundations, and a lot of people just take foundations and stop there just because of the roles that they may have. And without knowing more detail, um, that it sounds like maybe you just want a better understanding, and if you have interest to move forward. So Joel, no, your ITIL V3 foundations, you do need to take the bridge of it. And it's just a 1 day course, by the way. And so I will say I do not get any kickbacks for selling more. I would actually suggest you take ITIL Foundations version 5, the full, just because it's good. Yeah. Um uh Gur sorry, I'm pronouncing that. Mukadam is the last name, I believe. Beyond, uh, so technical skills for digital operation leaders. I think it's important when you're a digital operation leaders. It's just like developers, in my mind, where if you're leading a team of developers, which is, maybe some of you do that, I think you need the understanding below what's going on. So have you done a little bit of support or even sat in understanding that experience? Because I find, this is a personal opinion, I find that sometimes the leaders don't get down to the bodies and at the low level to say, oh my God, that's what you see? People calling in, like they may have some technical background, right? And that's why when I said leading developers, you have to have a basic knowledge of programming. So I think technical skills wise, the understanding of what does it mean when you're on a service desk? What does it mean when you're doing changes? Right. And it doesn't have to be you have to spend years there, I think, because some people are natural visionaries, and so I think being a visionary is how you're getting into that digital operations leader. I don't know if I answered your question, but hopefully that was helpful. Well, thank you, thank you. Is ITIL procedural and attainment? Brian, I'm not sure what you mean by that. It sounds like what you mean is there are certain courses you have to do in certain like order. And the only thing is you have to have the foundation or ITIL 4 foundations. All the others, you could do whatever order you want. So if that's the question, yeah. Oh, great, Felicia, that's good. Uh, oh, thank you, Ryan. Oh, okay. I think that's it as I went through. I don't know if there's
Yes.
others. I do think, um, oh, okay. And so I answered some of this live. And yeah, I did share the article, so if it was up there. Yeah.
So thank you so much, Pearl.
Yeah, like the foundation is the starting point. I mean,
Right.
some of you may know that it's going to be, oh, I know this, but it gives you a good overview. And you need that. You actually have to have that to take the next levels. Okay, sorry.
So I think so. We've pretty successful in answering all the questions, and thank you so much, Pearl. Today's session wasn't just really good, but it was more intriguing in terms of information because you've laid down the frameworks, how to be proactive and reactive, what is the difference between them, all right? You drew some classic examples from FIFA, Netflix, and other AI examples. Uh, for the bigger organizations, the more valuable professionals become when they understand how service work together. And that's what exactly ITL Foundation version 5 program is designed to teach. So